Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Just a Bit of Banter. My name is Patrick, and in this episode, we welcome Matt Ammerman to the podcast. Matt is a co-chapter head of the Beltway Blues, which is a Chelsea supporters group out of the DC area. He's also a board member of the Chelsea in America Coalition, which is an organization that helps connect supporters in the United States to find their various supporters clubs, organize get-togethers, and even help send people in America over to games at Stamford Bridge. We're going to be breaking down that wild game today against City versus Chelsea. So looking forward to it. Let's get started. Well, welcome back to another episode of Just a Bit of Banter. And in this episode, we are happy to welcome Matt from the Beltway Blues Supporters Club. But before we get into the show, I just want to quickly say Man City are top of the Premier League table and we want to treble despite results today. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Boo.
Unbelievable. I knew some shenanigans would come up.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm sorry I had to get that one in. Yes,
on record.
Today, of all days, we brought in our first guest that is a Chelsea fan. So, Matt, thank you for being here. All jokes aside, please introduce yourself. Tell us about how you got into Chelsea, and we're gonna dive into that match because boy, oh boy, what a game we had today.
Yeah, how convenient you bring the Chelsea guy on, after today's result, and you're just going to wrap up the episode in quick succession. So thanks for the
I'm not
time.
saying you're bad luck. I'm just...
No, it's all good. Thank you guys for having me. My name is Matt Ammerman. I'm one of the co-chapter heads for Beltway Blues. It's the Chelsea supporter club in the DC area. We have been around since, I believe, 2010, although we've had some grassroots stuff happening well before that in DC area too. But formally 2010, part of the Chelsea in America Coalition, which I'm also a part of as well as a board member too. So I'm originally from New Jersey, so I'm not from the DC area originally too, but moved down to the area in 2009 and just, I was supporting Chelsea at that point, obviously, and just looking for ways to get involved, meet new people in a new area. And we meet at Ireland's Four Courts. It's in Arlington, Virginia, just a suburb just outside of DC. And we've been there a long time, and found the club and started going to matches and just going to the pub, whether it's 7 a.m. 7:30 match. You guys got a lot earlier too, so I won't gripe too much for 7:30 kickoffs because you got me beat on that. But just making inroads there, get meeting like supporters, when they come to DC or Philly or New York on summer tours and stuff like that, going to the matches and take advantage of that. And, over a couple of years of doing that and some personal situations changing, work scenario changing, got more time in my hands, and just put myself out there a couple of years ago with Allison, who's our chapter head for Beltway Blues, and also part of Chelsea in America as well. Just put myself out there and said, hey, we'd love to get more involved. Where do you need help? And started off small with just running some social media accounts. And then on top of that, was designing merchandise. I've done a shirt, a hat, working on a couple other things as well too. And then about 2 years ago, joined the Chelsea in America board. So it's been a lot, recently, but I'm very fortunate to work with the group that we have. And if you're not familiar with Chelsea in America, it's a national coalition of about 50 supporter clubs across the U.S. So we are, really just trying to help those local supporter clubs kind of just, generate interest, kind of create some community there too, and create some opportunities for people to, get to know each other, create events, and then ultimately travel too, go to matches. That's always been a dream for people to travel overseas and go. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to go plenty of times. So, but every time I go, it's always just, it's just an incredible experience too. So, that's kind of takes me forward in terms of my position at Beltway Blues and Chelsea in America. And, I've been on podcasts previously and kind of told this story before, but, I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but we talk about TV coverage and stuff like that. Like when I was watching, football when I was younger, kind of limited in scope, right? Early to mid 2000s, Chelsea was good in the Premier League, but it was always dominated by United, Liverpool, Milan and stuff like that on TV and stuff like that. So but I had some friends in high school that were Liverpool supporters, and they had like family who were Liverpool supporters too. So it's kind of ingrained there, and that's something I'm always envious about too. Like I'm always interested about U.S. supporters, like how they find their club and stuff like that. But people who are like have family in the UK or born into the club and stuff like that, I'm always envious of that because that's like the best scenario. So ours is obviously a little bit more unique, but needless to say, those friends were highly obnoxious being Liverpool supporters. So it's,
No,
you hang out with
really.
them and, yeah, that's me saying it lightly. I'm not going to go too much further into that. We'll leave it at that. But
come on,
dude,
let it out.
I'm well aware of how obnoxious Liverpool supporters can be.
Liverpool.
Yeah. It is, but you're hanging out with these folks and you're watching games on weekends and stuff like that. And you hear them talk about it. And you're like, I want to get more interested, more involved in that. And just, I'm not going to shy away from it. You find the club when Abramovich takes over and dumps a ton of money in the club and they start doing well. I'm like, that's just timing. It wasn't me like saying they're playing well and I'm going to go support them. It probably helped if they got more TV time, obviously. So a little more accessible there. But, yeah, that was kind of the starting point. And then after that, I had just moved down to the DC area, and Chelsea came to the US, and they played Milan and Baltimore, and that was the first time I saw them. So it was like a great opportunity, like a couple years in, like learning the sport, learning like about the club and stuff like that, and then you finally get to go see them, like within a couple years succession, and then a couple years after that, first trip over to Stamford Bridge as well too. That's a takeaway I always give to people, like regardless of when you come to get involved with the club and stuff. I'm a big like sports history guy too, so I like looking back as well. And I made a really conscious effort to like get to know the club, like where they're currently at, but everything prior to that as well too. So that way it's not lost on me, especially like this past year, like how shit we've been. Like it's not lost on me that we've been terrible, because it could be so much worse. We could be relegated, like, and we've experienced that before. And granted, I'm not with the club at that point, but it's, you got to just understand kind of the historical context with that to kind of get a more wholesome view of support. So, yeah, that's probably a very long-winded approach to my time with Chelsea, my support and stuff like that. But happy to answer any questions or anything that piques your interest, of course, too. So, yeah.
No, I appreciate that, man. It's funny that you say you kind of found them on TV when you did, because the more we've done this and kind of reached out to other supporters of groups and had them on the show, being American supporters, I've heard that similar story. Mine's very similar. You mentioned you kind of started supporting right at Abramovich. I really got into City. Again, I won't lie to you, I knew nothing about soccer at all, but right before Pep came on is when I really started watching them. So I just lucked out with that. But same thing, they were on TV, they were available, and I really appreciate the thing you said about you decided to dive into their history and kind of learn everything. I did the same thing because I didn't want to just show up and be like, oh yeah, look at me, I picked a winning club and
Right.
everything's great now. Like, really understanding, when we got relegated and how we came up and what the journey has been like living in the shadow of United.
Yeah. There's my first trip was in 2013, and full experience. I got to go see a match, like did the stadium tour and stuff like that. And like this ties in the history piece. And we're doing the tour and walking the grounds, and the guy pauses like to go inside. I can't remember where we were in the grounds, stuff like that, but he pauses, and like Bobby Tamling and like somebody walk by, and he like introduces himself to the group and stuff like that. And like, I think I was the only one that was like in complete and utter shock that he was like standing right in front of me, and like just like force my way in front of people and like introduce myself and like say hi and stuff like that. Like it like clicked for me, like full circle, like, the time and effort you put into learning more about the club holistically, like actually goes a lot further, so you can really understand his impact he's had at the club and stuff like that. Yeah, granted, I'm not that old, so I wasn't watching him when I was a kid like some of these other supporters, but you can see the impact he has and be appreciative of that, and everyone else is kind of more like, just, you could tell it was like passive-y tourist, or maybe just getting into the club first time, just didn't fully understand the impact. And I wanted to like yell at them, but like his face is on the shed wall, like right there. Like, that's your first history lesson, is like, go read that first, and then you'll start to get a little more context to what he's done for the club and stuff too. So I don't know if I would have reacted in the same manner if I didn't kind of like dive into the history a little bit more and have a particular focus on that too. So for the folks that are looking to get into, Premier League or pick a club or just football in general, like it's always a good takeaway. Is like dive into that history and learn a little bit more about it. Yeah.
Definitely.
That's pretty interesting. I don't know much about the history of Brighton, which has been the team that I have been supporting this year. I should do that. That's so interesting, because then you can really like understand, like you said, Patrick, your team's really good right now. Chelsea's been good in the past, but you can understand the ups and the downs. And, when you haven't been a fan your whole life, as it seems like none of us really have been. That's just my takeaway.
For sure. Yeah, I think it definitely will finds a way to
I like
connect you to the club.
Yeah. We're not like living in the moment. You can still kind of look, and I think it keeps me a little more level-headed too. When like finishing 10th and
I definitely
12th,
get
or
that.
whatever it used to be, I'm like, well, it could be worse. We could be relegated. Which was some semi possibility last season. I was at the match where we lost 1-0 to Southampton. So 20th place Southampton
Oh, really?
going down in December. It was February. I was like, this is brutal. Like that was a low. But then again, it's like I got to keep myself level-headed. I'm like, it could be worse. You could be relegated, and then who the hell knows what happens there and stuff like that. And that's just me. Either maybe I'm just like passively playing off the real issues and stuff. But again, at the same time, I'm like, you know what? It could be a lot worse. We could be selling to an owner for $1, or getting relegated and stuff like that. So, that stuff's not totally lost on me, but the counter argument is always like, well, we're Chelsea. We should expect to play well, beat top four and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you say that with the hindsight of the past 20 years, but the ownership change has been such a massive overhaul. And frankly, I think it's been a little undersold too. Like people like, oh, new owners come in, pump a ton of money in there, and we're off and running and we're going again. And like, I think there's a lot of stuff people don't see day to day, just in terms of whole structure of the club and stuff like that. It's like trying to turn an aircraft carrier. Like it doesn't happen overnight, and it very well could take like 2 to 3 years to try to turn the thing around and stuff like that too. So when people get frustrated by the results, like, yeah, it's frustrated, but I kind of rooted in reality a little bit too. Like one, it could be worse, and two, like where we were at last year and where we're going. Like I think in a couple of years we'll look back on that and be like, okay, it was worth it.
So you mentioned like it's entire restructure of the club, and this is coming from me. Most of my knowledge of Chelsea is just watching Premier League matches when City play them. To be honest with you, uh, obviously the City guy at the group, but what you're very connected with them. So what kind of restructuring are they doing on the club end that has made it more challenging for the results on the pitch?
Like the money plays a huge role in it. So everyone just sees like you throw all this money and you buy up all these players and stuff like that, and they're not all these like, I'll use a Madrid term, like galacticos, if you will. Like gone are the days where like we're pumping a ton of money in and bringing, we're spending a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, like Caicedo and Enzo and stuff like that. But this is not me speaking on behalf of the club. This is my personal perception on this. But like my thought is that they are front loading a lot of the money they're kind of buying early on talent, essentially. So instead of buying late, they've had to overpay in some capacity too. And I think there's been kind of just some learning along the way too about how they pay for talent and overpay and stuff like that. But my hope is, and it's a running joke with all these long contracts, like, oh, we're only buying people young and they got to be 9-year deals and stuff like that. And I think there's a financial component to being able to manage the contracts a little bit better there, so that's helpful. It is a big risk, obviously along the way, but my hope is that you have this longevity there, so like the contract is much more manageable and people are more inclined to stay because they're kind of pulling everybody together. I think what they're trying to do is like get everybody in the same time or the same window, if you will, so they're all pushing forward together rather than trying to like pull individuals like over the course of a period of time and just hope it clicks. And I think that's, I actually give City a lot of credit, and it was just as prevalent today too. Like no matter who they buy, whether it's Haaland or anybody else that they bring in, like they play collectively as a team. Like they're all just like for the team. There's not a very individualistic nature of that. And I feel like that's something that's kind of been lacking at Chelsea for a couple of years now. Like whether it was Hazard or Conte, those are the two that stand out to me as like, it didn't make a difference. Like if one of them was on the pitch, like we played through them. Like we were so wholly reliant on like one player. And like, I mean, you always heard of like Conte be out for months. I'm like, we're crap until Conte gets back. And he gets back, we're great. But being so reliant on one player, like, and not having that team driven like mentality, and especially having that drilled in at such a younger age, it's kind of hard to break that mold too. So I do like the idea of like bringing in some younger players and getting them all in kind of a same baseline and then working towards a goal together. I think that brings a little bit of more like uniformity there. I don't really buy into some of the social media comments, but like you see like Caicedo and Enzo like, stick with us, like this is going to become good, like, and along the way and stuff like that, and we're really doing this together and stuff. And like I said, I don't play too much social media, but I mean, if they're saying that as a supporter, wouldn't you want to get involved? Wouldn't you want guys who are like, yeah, it sucks now, we're in 10th, 12th place, whatever it is, but the end of the season or next year, like things are really going to start to click. And I think that's the hope there. So
Yeah, I think so. I think what the thing you're running into, and today's result will help, and we can kind of dive into that. But today's result and your result against Spurs will help, as infuriating as that Spurs game was, because that should have been. It's besides the point. That was the last episode. But
yeah,
I think once you start getting results, that'll change, because you know how it is in social media nowadays. Fans are so fickle. They want that instant success. That I really attribute it to, like, it's kind of like playing FIFA. They want like you win all the time. Oh, your contract and
yeah,
on our, where I've seen it on City's end is obviously we all last summer are in for Jude Bellingham, and we're generally tied to big names like that, big Galactico signings, to use that term.
yeah.
And everybody wants it done right away, like you do on FIFA, where you just quick, click, 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 and then real life doesn't work like that. It's a slow progress on negotiation. It's a slow progress on the field, especially with, I do think you have something to answer for with the amount of money you spent. I do realize the
Oh
point that
yeah,
you're saying about it can't just click. But one of the things that I was talking to George about, I think a couple episodes ago, obviously, uh, are Arsenal out of the cup now? The Carabao Cup? Arsenal and, yeah,
they
they are. Arsenal and
they
City
did
are out of
lose
the
the other
Carabao
day.
Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So, like that, it would be a competition I would prioritize as Chelsea. I know it's just the Carabao Cup, but it would be something to show the supporters, hey, we have something that we've won. We're making progress. Um, I mean, personally, it's Liverpool's to lose, probably. Maybe Newcastle's to lose, but that would be a
Yeah, we have
competition I would
them.
prioritize to give your supporters.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that like analogy about like FIFA and stuff, and kind of like the supporter like mindset in a way. A lot of it's just noise, quite frankly. I'm not of the mindset that like everybody thinks that way, but instant gratification is 100% like a thing about football nowadays. Like you
Mm-hmm.
get a little taste of winning, and now it's like we don't have the stomach or spine to deal with like the ebb and flow that goes along with like a season or even like a period of time or something like that too. There's always instant gratification, and it definitely gets weighted a little bit differently when you spend all of this money. you know
Oh,
like all these
100%.
players, like they just because your frame of reference there is literally like Abramovich coming in and spending millions of pounds, and then Mourinho immediately turning around and winning the league 2 years in a row. Like that's the frame of reference, right? So
Sure.
that's a different era, that's a different time. So I can understand where people come, from that angle. But my concern, and I'm not slighting Chelsea at all, but my concern, like, and again, instant gratification, and there's like a nearsightedness about football too. Like we're building confidence from today's result from Spurs. Like things are starting to click a little bit. Like I noticed just like some of the partnerships I've seen on the pitch the past couple of days, like, and just the way like some guys have been carrying themselves, like starting to click a little bit, getting a little bit of confidence, getting comfortable with each other and stuff like that. And maybe I'll look back on these two results like over the next year and say like, yeah, that was a really good starting point. But I don't like that nearsightedness that so many people have. I don't want like, God, let's say we go get a draw like, in 2 weeks against Newcastle or get blown out 3-0. Like suddenly it's going to be like, oh, we're riding high in confidence. Like, oh, we're all terrible. Sell everybody. People are jumping on Sterling or whoever they want to yell at that week. Or Jackson seems to be a hot topic recently. Keep yelling about him. But So I think tempering those expectations is key. And I'm more realistic. Like I went to this season and said, if we 6th to 8th and we get a cup, we get a deep cup run or two, like that'd be like my barometer for success. And I got cooked over the coals for that because people are like, we should be getting top 4 and qualifying for Champions League. And it's like, well, yeah, that'd be nice. But considering the circumstance, like get out of the clouds. Like with Chelsea, we should be doing that. Yeah, we should be doing that. But you know what? Like until this, we're humming and, hawing and keep moving along, like it's going to take some time, and I think this is a perfect opportunity for the club to dig in with Pochettino. Like, you can talk about Potter and all that stuff that happened going on. And I would have loved for him to get the full year, but it wasn't working. But like, if things kind of, plateau out or we take a dip in form and stuff like that, like that's where you dig in Pochettino and his players and stuff like that, gave him the time. And again, I'm tempering expectations for myself because 6 to 8 in the deep cup run, like, I think that's a little more rooted in reality than maybe what some other people want.
I could see that for sure. Well, on the note of sticking to Pochettino and kind of transitioning over to this wild game, the one thing I will say is, here, congratulations to Chelsea. All jokes aside, congratulations. You guys played excellent today. You really did. The way you set up, the way Pochettino set his team up was exactly what you need to do to beat City. What are your takeaways from the match? Let's just start there. What are your takeaways? How'd you feel about the match? What were your emotions up and down as you took the lead, lost it, came back? 2 City players helped you win that. You're welcome.
Yeah. It on the plus side, it's good to see goals. Like that's been such a premium for a while now, right? Like, what we scored 8 goals in 2 games. That's incredible. So it's nice to see that. In terms of like the play, there were definitely some concerns there. Like set pieces, and particularly set pieces from the left, like have been an issue for years now. So we conceded off of that too. There was the second Holland goal, where Caicedo just went in for the ball and got absolutely fleeced, and then we just completely lost our shape like on that counter. That's another thing too that just has plagued us. Also, early in the second half, we come out flat-footed. Like, so those are probably and again, like that goal right there, like happened early in the second half too. So like those are things that have continuously plagued us and continue to do so. And I think that's what separates us from like other clubs. We have not totally fixed those things that have plagued us for a long period of time. And maybe there's a train of thought that's got to happen there, like to change it, or, personnel with all these players coming in, like a change of mindset there. But I think the biggest takeaway is just the resilience and that confidence that we had. Yeah. Like how many times have you, George, you probably have seen this, like how many times have you watched us and, it's 0s going into the half. We concede early in the second half. Then we're chasing the rest of the game, but then we're still flat-footed. Like we're just dilly-dallying, pantsing the ball. Like we got all the possession in the world, but we're passing the ball back and forth, trying to walk, around the box, trying to walk it in. And they've just effectively just packed it in there. We can't get through. So, those early goals in the second half, set pieces, like those things me. But like today's response, like having to come back and chase the game a little bit and fight back, like I don't know if I would see that the past 2-3 years. So the fact that we stayed on it and managed possession really well and really took it back to City is probably the biggest takeaway. That confidence, that resilience that we showed today. I think that was the big piece.
Yeah, man. If I can just jump in here as well, just hearing the back and forth, just absorbing everything. So, I mean, it's like Matt, was like what you said, man. It's nice to see these 8 goals come in from Spurs, and today against arguably number 1, number 2 coming in the past couple of weeks, and given with the big topic of what you said with Jackson coming in, he's a young talent striker. It's coming in, and like you said, it was you want to develop these guys. And I've told this on the show before, is to really got to develop him, and what he's going to do is he's like these past matches is that he's he's eager to score because he's he's going off sides multiple times. But now, like last week when he was playing the Spurs, he scored that hat trick, and that was great. And now that built up his motivation and confidence is what leading up to this game against City today, which was, God, it was so awesome watching this game going back and forth. We were on with our boys with Hollywood Kickbacks as well. Me and Patrick were going on there and just going back and forth with it. And man, good God, it was so nice to see scoring and just seeing how when from that win from Spurs last week is giving so much motivation to this game. And I hate to say this, but Chelsea has nothing to lose on this, and it's all the talks with City to take them down. You're the number one dog. You take them down, and and we kept fighting. And I don't like the coverage with Holland and Cucurella today, with the grabbing the jersey. They're both grabbing. So like you said earlier, I'm not. It is what it is. It happens. But man, it was such a. I don't know. I know Patrick has probably different perspective on it, but it was.
I mean,
it was a really
shit defensively.
Yeah, it was
absolutely awful. Like Sterling, and I think it was James. Just Vardiol today had a shit show. Just an absolute terror show defensively. Our entire defense was terrible, and the biggest thing that came to my mind as I'm watching this is thinking about, is John Stones really that critical to us? And I think today the answer is yes. I think it's two things. Number one, John Stones being able to actually step up and be the second Rodri as it is with the way we play and how our buildup is absolutely. We don't have anybody that can do that. Akanji tried today. Akanji did very well today, but it's not John Stones, and it's not necessarily his fault. He just hasn't done the role. But defensively, we were just all over the place. I think it's Sterling's second goal, the one that put us ahead, or maybe the one that put you guys ahead originally.
Oh, and that pass from James?
Yes. That's just terrible defending
that was
from
that was a terrible pass by Palmer too. Like he tried to play that in. He practically played it right at Gvardiol. And like even James pulled up for a quick second. He was like, "Oh, that's going right to him. That'll get cleared." And I don't know what he was doing. Like Gvardiol just like he turned himself around, and Reese was like, "I'll take this." Like just went right past, just cut in on him, and it was like, and he was gone. And then Sterling makes a run on the box. Like I don't. We didn't play that well, but we got very lucky. I don't know what he was thinking there.
I think honestly, it's one of those games like me and George were going back and forth right immediately following the game, and I'll be honest, you were winding me up. I wanted to kill you today. I'm not gonna lie, you were winding me up because I was in that moment where it genuinely felt like, well, we dropped 2 points today. That game should have been done with the Rodri saving us again, but we dropped 2 points today for sure, and I do think that I think you guys played well, but where I think you guys got lucky is City does this always around this time. We roll up to, I hate to say it, a mid-table team, and we drop an absolute shambolic performance, which is weird to say because we scored 4 goals today. You know what I mean? But we roll up to City and there's like, we just have an off day. We roll up to City. We roll up to a mid-table team. We have an off day, and then they have. I'm convinced, and I've been saying this all season. You talked about George. You said Chelsea have nothing to lose, and everybody wants to take points off of us. We are the best team in England still. So everybody wants to take off points, and I've been saying this all season. I genuinely believe that when we come to town, especially on away days, teams mentally are sharper. It would be like if Real Madrid comes to town and you're just like, oh, we got to be up for it. We are gonna be under attack the entire game. We got to be defensively solid. Keepers have better games when they play us. Defenses. That's the one thing. I watched the game against Spurs and I'm like, we are just gonna terrorize you guys defensively because I don't think still you're that too sound. And with the way Doku's form had been when I saw the lineup, I was like, this is going to be great. But James, I mean, pocketed Doku today. So I thought we were just going to terrorize that back line. And honestly, the game started with 1-0 soft penalty. I'll admit, I thought it was a soft penalty. I don't necessarily, I think if I saw it given against City, I'd be like, yeah, I'd be pissed if that was given. And that's always I try to gauge penalties. Is like, if it was given against me, would I be upset about this? The Diaz one,
Yeah.
clear penalty. But the Hollands, I don't know. It's soft. It's soft to me, and we get a little lucky. But we go 1-0 up, and I'm thinking, okay, standard business. We're just going to kind of walk this game. But you guys dug in, and you fought, and kudos.
You know
Yeah,
that
man, it was.
that equalizer is solely it's like solely on Reece James. You know, it's nice to like us getting a goal back. Like again, like I making jokes about earlier. It's like, oh my god, we actually scored from a set piece. Like when was the last time that actually happened? And it's funny, like, and it really wasn't that great of a cross either. Too, it was short. Like, and it was like I don't think anybody that's going to go to no man's land. Like, where is that going? And Silva makes a great run. He was like almost in a similar position like Drogba in 2012, like Champions League final, just like off post and just short and just makes a run in and just boom gets and connects on it. I'm actually surprised Ederson did it. If the ball came across a little soft, I'm surprised Ederson didn't actually get to it too. But that's credit to Reece James and him being back into the fold, which I'm glad he's not playing full 90s yet because that's a hamstring injury waiting to happen. We've got some quality backup in Gusto too. But you mentioned like Reece just pocketing Doku like all day and just kind of just bodying him left and right. It just goes to show how important Reece is to our team offensively and defensively. Goes back to my prior point though. And this actually plagued us this past year and a half when Reece and Chilwell were both actually playing well. Who are our top goal scorers like every year? It's like goals were only coming from Chilwell or Reece James. So it's like we used to play through those wing backs and play out wide and stuff. But I'm hoping that doesn't plague us moving forward. Like we're only playing through that one person or being so reliant. So we'll see where that goes. Gusto played great today. I've been pretty impressed with him. Missed an absolute sitter. I was like steaming off of that because I was like, you have Ederson like practically one-on-one, just boot the piss out of it. Makes me second guess though, like did we take Reece off too early because he probably buries that.
Yeah, I it's funny you mentioned Reece James because 100% you have been different since he's come back in the lineup. His maturity, his desire to get forward, his desire to defend, and like, I mean, he's a Chelsea boy. I joke with George all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, when Kyle Walker goes, we'll take him. We'll take him off your hands for you. But
Hell no.
but that boy is a Chelsea boy, and it shows when he plays. And it's been a night and day transformation since he's been back in your lineup. But again, you play him too much. Yeah, I mean, he looks at the ground wrong or steps wrong. He's got a hamstring injury, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, as long as he stays healthy, I'm solid. I mean, he had a nice little free kick that Ederson made the saves. Actually, it was both goalies. Both goalies made fantastic saves today. With Sanchez and Ederson, with Ederson's free kick from Reece James. I mean, I thought that was going in. It was curving right in, and Ederson just popped up out of nowhere. And same thing with Sanchez, man. With him from Holland, so, it was overall it was both of them goalie wise. I thought they played fantastic. So doesn't show it because it's 4-4, but
there were a couple times where like this easily could have like a 5-5, like even more than that too. Like
it could have, if you let it go, it would have kept going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean Palmer had, I think in the second half, Palmer had like a run through the middle, was really just dancing through people and staying on his feet, and like could have put that anywhere else and it goes in, but he puts it right at Ederson. That was like the theme. Like guys were just like putting the balls right on the keeper too. Like Holland, I think the first half like got away from Silva, and put one right on Sanchez. Did a great job there. Doku had something similar in the second half too, as well too. It was like those are ones they probably bury, but yeah, credit to the keepers too. I mean, and that's been a topic of conversation for us this year. Like, why are you spending £20 million on a third-rate keeper? What is a little more context to why he was third string at Brighton? Greg, here you go. I'll cue you up about what Robert Sanchez was doing at Brighton last year. But I was fully convinced when they signed him that it was going to be like they look at him as the starting keeper for the next couple of years too. And that's relevant of whether Kepa comes back or not.
Matt, one thing that we've been giving George a lot of shit about on the podcast is the amount of money that Chelsea has spent this past year. It seems to haven't rendered too many results. This kind of goes into the banter portion of the banter pod here. But do you think they should have spent more money? And if so, how much more money would you have spent?
How many more renovations do you have to do to the Amex? Maybe Todd Bowley will buy the naming rights off of American Express and rename the stadium and something else.
Well,
I don't know. He spends like he has an open checkbook, man. It's stressing me out.
He does have an open checkbook.
I got to hear it, Matt. I got to hear it every time.
Yeah.
If the money runs out, we could just put Mookie Betts like in the starting 11 because he plays every for the Dodgers anyway. So you know what? We got a utility player there, so it'll work out.
You just get a kicker from the NFL, like an old retired kicker, and everyone will pay attention for like 2 weeks here in America, and then they'll make all the money they need. Boom, crisis averted. 2 weeks of Americans.
That's how they'll afford Evan Ferguson. That's how they'll afford him.
Yeah. Stay away from Brighton. Brighton's doing well, and they need their players. They've got injuries of their own.
They are. It was a rough one. I was really hoping that they were going to get that dub, and it looked great. They got it right out the gate. 5 minutes, I think it was, with just a nice little right on in there. And then, there was that red card. I think it was like minute 70 or something. I don't remember, but I think it was well deserved. I mean, he stepped on the back of his ankle. I think that's pretty blatant, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and that too was that Brighton was able to hold out from Sheffield. Not to have him score, and just shows that how terrible Sheffield United is.
And De Zerbi got another yellow card. He got another one. Now, what was the rule again? You get a certain amount, and then you have to like sit in the stands or some shit.
Isn't it 3 in a row? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I thought
for managers. I think it's 4 or 5 for players.
How close can they be? Like, can they be? Is there a rule? Like, they have to be 4 rows back when they're suspended like that?
I think usually they
probably
sit
just
in their
nowhere
manager
near
box.
like in proximity to like where they can interact with the team, I guess. So you always see them like a coach's box or just like way up in the stands or something like that. So maybe they'll do a Mourinho and sneak him in the laundry bin and take him in at halftime or something like that.
They'll have like little binoculars sticking out of the bin that's just sitting there on the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not a coach written on the outside of it.
University of Michigan's been doing that for their football team, so I'm sure they take a page out of that. So
they could take a page out of T Swift too, because even though everybody knows at this point, she comes in like some like janitor cart looking thing, and everybody sees it when she's about to go on stage. It's like, oh, we finally got it. So they could do something like that. Any chance I can to bring up T Swift, I will.
Yeah, that's true. He's our local T Swift fan. I'm just the closeted T Swift fan over here. Mostly just for 1989. That's her best album.
Did you hear the new reissue of it? Taylor's version.
All right. It's all right. Yeah. They didn't need to fix perfection.
Unpopular opinion. Listen to the old ones.
Yeah, 1989 is a fantastic album, and she will never do better than that album ever. Production-wise, it's perfect. So there's no need to re-release it.
Well, they did. Patrick's version.
There you go. My version. But speaking of Brighton, Greg, I watched George and Matt. They're not in Europe, so they don't know what this is like. But
thanks.
I watched
Europe.
I watched your match for you against Ajax, and they played really well. I mean, to be fair, Ajax right now is kind of going through their own transition. they're not doing very well this season. But you can only beat what's in front of you. And I thought it was, what was the score there? 3-0. I was kind of watching offhand.
Sounds about right.
Definitely not at work.
2-0
2
against
nothing.
Ajax.
I think that's exactly what I predicted was 2-0.
Oh,
I think you're
was
right.
it?
I think you're right, Greg. You did get that.
Greg's normally spot on with his
Greg,
predictions. I'm not gonna lie.
Goose eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Ajax is terrible, dude. They're
Yeah.
bad, dude.
They're having a poor season, but if you had beat them, you'd be talking it up too. So let me
Yeah,
help out
you'd
my
be
boy. Relax.
Talking it up.
I had
They
your
would
back
get
against
through.
Spurs. Now let me
I don't
have his back against Ajax.
No, dude. He's got to defend himself, dude.
We just drew today, which was pretty sad, but at least they
It's
got
not-
a point.
Given
At
that
least
you
they
had
got-
a red card, that's
you got
not a
a red
bad
card.
result, man.
Defense
Now-
held it up, dude.
Let me ask you this. When they get a red card and someone's ejected, how do they have to play the rest of the game minus one player?
Mm-hmm.
The whole game.
Yep.
They can't. What if they get two?
Well, that's what happened to Spurs against Chelsea.
Yeah,
Is they
that's
played with
not
9 men.
Yeah,
And
go
so
down to
they
9.
just that's crazy, and they can't sub in.
Yeah, normally what happens is though, like if it happens to a midfielder, or because usually it's a midfielder or defender that generally is going to get more likely to get a red card, just because of the nature of their job on the field. But they'll just sub off like an attacking player and bring on another defender. In Spurs' case, I don't know what they did. Ange just went on a crazy one, and I mean I like Ange, don't get me wrong, but went on a crazy one and still played. Let's play the high line ball. You guys struggle.
High risk, high reward. He's just, I'm going to play high line, and I'm going to try to keep the pressure on. And if we get cooked, we get cooked. I mean,
Yeah, I liked
there's-
his response.
He's like,
It was
that's
like,
how we're going to
as long as I'm here, I'm going to play. So
yeah,
deal with it. I was like,
no one's going to
right on, man. Right on.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think
What
there's also
if
like
it's
an
at the
element of
front-
that about VAR. Like he's like, I'll take my chances. Like for how marginalized VAR is, like slight changes about like who's
It's a good
onside,
point.
offside, that he is probably
Damn, I didn't
just,
even
like,
consider that.
that actually helps. Like I mean, for how often like Nicholas Jackson is offside, it's like flashbacks to Timo Werner. He's probably just like, hey, I mean, if we concede, so be it. VAR will probably check it anyway, and if we'll probably get the benefit of the doubt. If there's a margin offside, like gives us more reason to keep playing a high line. So I think that risk is
Damn, that's a good point.
probably not as high as the reward there. He's probably just like, I'm just gonna let it fly and put the pressure on VAR to make that right call.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a very good point.
But yeah, Greg, you were going to ask a question there. Sorry.
Oh, I think the question's been answered, but the question I was going to ask was, does that count if it's like the first half you get a red card and you still can't come in the second half?
All the way through the full 90. And not only that, depending on how the card is given, so you know how you can get a yellow card, and then if you get a second yellow, it's a red?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's just a suspension 1 game, right?
Yeah.
So that's a suspension
3-game ban.
Yeah, but straight red will be a 3-game ban. So I think the red card you got was a second yellow, so he'll only be out an additional game. But like Romero, a player over at Spurs that Matt and George's team played, he's straight red, so he's out. He'll be out for when we go play him. So it bodes well. That entire game, you help my entire title challenge, because they got to come to the Etihad and not have their best player. I think everything went wrong from them in that game, because what's their center back that they bought? Not Van de Beek,
Mickey
but
Van de Ven, he's hurt.
Yeah, I saw him pull up. I was
Romero.
like, shit, that's got to be bad, because there was non-contact and he just pulled up.
And Madison I think is out for a while too. I thought I saw like 1 to 2 months. I may be overselling it a little bit, but because it looked like he came off on own accord. But I mean, that's been a big get for them this year too. Like he's been that creative outlet that they've really been missing in the midfield, stuff like that. So losing him is.
I wanted him so bad.
I mean, I'm not gonna give Spurs much credit, but it's certainly justified in them getting that. And they've played their cards well in terms of who they've gotten this year too, and they've been flying high and stuff like that, which is great. I think the biggest piece that they've done this year too, and this I'll give a little bit of credit here, is moving Sun more centrally, because his legs are just beat up from just getting absolutely annihilated in this league. Just how physical. I mean, you saw the same thing with Hazard too. So it's like move him more centrally, and like have Richarlison play a little outside, and Sun's passing is just so good too. So like if he's laying people up, or if he's got to run a little bit less, like you save him and have a little more longevity in that game, and makes you wonder what this team would be like with Kane. But I don't think you move Son centrally if Kane's still there anyway too. So I think that's kind of just how the chips fell.
I think Kane moving was necessary for him. Like Kane's an amazing striker. He would have succeeded. I don't know why United didn't go in for him. That was such a ridiculous decision from them on their end. But like, I'm glad he went to Bayern. I'm glad he's probably going to get some titles to his name now to really cement him as the striker that we all know how good he is.
No, United just like spending more money on individual pieces, like whether it's Anthony, Sancho, or the new striker they got. It's like we're going to spend £300 million on 3 guys. So we'll see where that takes us.
It's great. We have 300 million. Let's go spend it on these people. And then never play them is the other thing.
Yeah, they kind of squeaked out a victory against Luton Town.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw
that they squeezed that out.
Remember a couple episodes ago, I think I watched the Luton game. Who did I watch them play against?
Oh, Liverpool? That one?
No, I don't think it was any of
Wolves.
I don't know. I don't know who it was, but I remember watching them and I'm telling you guys, like, I'm really concerned about when we go. But their last couple of results, and from what it sounds like, playing at home, they're actually kind of difficult to beat, which is surprising.
I just like that stadium, dude.
Oh, I can't wait. I literally cannot wait to see Holland go through someone's back door to get into the ground. Like this 200 million pound player, all the endorsement deals in the world, one of the richest clubs in the world is going to show up and fucking have to go through somebody's
in an apartment complex.
Back door. Yeah.
Hey man, it just shows that how they, how they got there to the top tier in the Premier League is Luton Town. But I don't know. I just like their stadium. It looks pretty cool. And their players, they just show a lot of heart. They're trying. So.
Yeah. They're not going to stay up, but
no,
I love it that they're here. I love it that they're here.
No, I think who was last year? It was Leeds and Leicester City, and I think they're top 2 right now from the
they're probably
second grade down. Yeah, so and then some other team I can't remember who it was. And Southampton's pretty up there too. I think they're 4th. But I think it's like Leicester City and Leeds. They're top right now. So there's a possibility they might be coming back. So yeah,
I think Ipswich was the other club.
Oh, Ipswich, that's what it was. Yeah. And then it's funny because right now the bottom 3 are the same ones who got promoted this year. So I'm like, wow, it was nice while it lasted. But it's still early. It's still early in the season though. We still got a lot of games.
This international break kind of puts us close to well, not quite halfway, but it feels like, because this is the last international break before things get like crazy busy. So I guess with that, before we transition here, we'll transition to the banter segment next. But real quick, Matt and George, feel free to join in as well. And we'll go over to you, Greg, is how do you feel the season, I guess, following the last 2 results you guys have had and knowing injuries are going to be coming back, the injured players you have, like Nkunku, are going to be coming back into your squad, and especially given the result against City today. How do you feel your season has gone, and where? I mean, you kind of already went into you're expecting if you get 6th or 8th, that'll be a good season for you. But where do you think the next, as the busy period comes, what would you like to see from Chelsea going forward?
George, you want me to go first?
I just want to see again, keep more confidence with Jackson in there. Just have him keep playing, develop, and then when Nkunku comes back, I thought that he's coming back in January or something like that. I don't recall the exact time, but I'm interested to see how they're going to shift them with the lineups how they have, because they still have some talent too. And then I still want to see a lot of time with Palmer and have Mudryk in there more. And then you got Sterling. I think we talked about this last week, Patrick, and more is like people having playing time and all that stuff. So I'm interested to see of how Nkoku's, when he comes back, is he wants to go in there right away and start taking care of business. Which you've been out for so long, of course. But I always say go for the top, get the top 3, and get champions. But after listening to another perspective of Matt's, it makes sense at a higher like the Euro Cup. So I would like to see that, and then just keep motivating these guys and give Pochettino a whole season. Don't if they start losing, don't give them the axe right away. Just have them go out through the season, because we do have some young guys in that and developing. So it's that'll be my I guess my personal opinion on that.
December is always like an absolute nightmare for us. Like whether we're playing in Europe or not, it's always just an absolute nightmare. Like we could easily go out and lose 6 matches across like the month of December, And I mentioned like set pieces, particularly ones on the left side. I think it was like 2 years ago. We gave up 6 of those goals in the course of the month of December. So it's just December, like the holiday time frame, like the schedule is just an absolute mess. It's an absolute nightmare. We don't respond to it very well. So I'm hoping things will be a little bit different. I think we've punched above our weight against top competition this year, like whether it's Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal, City, haven't lost to them. So that's been good. It's been a good response. December is not favorable for us, unfortunately. We just never play well when the schedule gets condensed a lot. We're going to have to play Newcastle twice, once after the international break, and then after that, Carabao Cup quarterfinal. We have United still in December as well. Who else? After that, it's actually... Yeah, outside of that, it's pretty favorable. I even say Brighton actually be pretty favorable for us too, the way we've been playing recently too. But like after that, Everton, Sheffield, Wolves, Palace, Luton. So that's pretty damn good schedule to round out the year. The problem is we need to win those games. Like you should be winning the games that you're expected to win, and that really has not been a situation for us this year, whether we're losing 3-1 to West Ham or getting fleeced by Brighton. Those are the ones. We'd be in a much different position now if we were winning those games we expected to. If we went out and lost to City today, and I put up a fight, like lost 4-3 or something like that, I feel like people would be like, you're playing City. It's the best team in the league, and you took it to them. You didn't get the points, but it's good showing anyway. And then, but we compensated all of that by winning the games we should have won earlier in the year, probably be in a much different position and probably a different headspace too. So I think it's gonna be really telling over the next month, despite how condensed things are. Whether we can really kind of reposition ourselves on the table. Getting people back is going to be huge, and Nkunku is going to be a massive pickup for us too. Chilwell hopefully getting some form. Chukwuemeka is another one I'm really excited to see too. Where does he fit into this too? Because before his injury, he was great. He was doing absolutely wonders for us too, and really just had a stroke of confidence there too. So I don't know where the lineup's going to go. We're going to need to do some rotation, obviously. We've actually worked well with the rotation thus far. I've been pretty happy to see the minutes people have been getting and stuff like that too. I don't really see Nkunku as an out-and-out striker, so I would love to see him play off the striker, but I don't know where that puts then. So does someone get plucked out of the midfield then? How do you reposition some of the other guys? Palmer's so dynamic, he can play out wide, and then drift in. And Nkunku seems like he can kind of do the same thing as well too, but I don't know if you and George, you kind of hit on this too. Like we need to get Jackson more minutes and continue to invest in that. Baroja is the same way, so do you play with and it's hard to call Jackson a 9 or like an out and out striker, because he did play out wide for Villarreal for a little bit too. So I think he's still kind of learning a little bit how to play a little more centrally, despite of how disruptive he's been for defenses, which I'm absolutely loving. So frankly, I'd love to see if he plays a little more hold up and plays Nkunku behind him. I think that'd be interesting. So it's going to be really on Poch to think about how dynamic we can be with formations and making adjustments, offense, defense, and go from there too. So
So
a lot
you
of
think
points
so
to
you
add
think
over next month.
so you think that on playing behind Jackson, so you think you'll take out like Gallagher or and Enzo and then plugging in Koku when he comes back. So like it's tough. And then like you said, like Broha,
Yeah.
he's just coming off a bad injury too. So having him, coming back, it's great to see him back, but getting him minutes with Jackson and like those substitutions, those subs, get those fresh legs in. I'm interested to see how, because you got Sterling, you got Gallagher, and now, those, and you got Enzo and Caicedo, two very expensive purchases, and who are looking to, they're expecting to play and all that stuff. But then you got Nkoku, who's going to come back. So it's going to be interesting how Poch is going to, do this lineup without, and winning and trying to win, right? So it's gonna be tough coming back with these, with Ben Chilwell coming back as well. It's I like Ben Chilwell, but yeah, it's gonna be. I'm excited for this break. So
and Lavia is coming back too. He's going to be coming back off of injury, so we'll get. I mean, I don't think he gets slotted right into the
third city player you have. You're welcome.
The 11. Yeah. Well, if you ask Liverpool supporters, they're supposed to have Caicedo and Lavia, but but yeah, I mean his origin anyway. But I don't think he slots into starting 11. I think he's young too, so I think there's still some growth there. But I think he also gives us a little bit more of protection on the back line. Like Caicedo's doing a lot right now, getting forward, getting the ball forward, like covering for back line. I think Lavia doesn't do both of those things, so he's going to be a very unique person to have in there too. I'm always in favor of playing like a back four and a back three formation. Maybe on paper it looks like that, but a little more fluid on the pitch and stuff too. So, maybe you do like Palmer could 100% do this. And I'd be curious to see where this goes, but wouldn't mind seeing them do kind of a setup that Inter had when they were playing with Conte, where they had like Lukaku and Lautaro up front, and they had Eriksen just behind them. So you almost had like a 9 and like a 9 kind of 10 hybrid, kind of just running fits around people and stuff like that. I'd be curious to see if like Nkuku and like Jackson could pull something like that off. That would be really interesting to see, and put Palmer behind them. I think that'd be great. I wanted to see us to do that with Lukaku and Werner, but that never came to fruition, unfortunately, too. So, it's really on Pochettino to just start getting creative. Do you get creative for the sake of just getting people minutes? Do you just ride the wave? I mean, you're probably going to make edits and adoptions along the way, depending who the opponent is and stuff too. And seeing some of the competition we have and how lower on the table they are, they're going to hunker down to the box. They're going to quote unquote low block. That seems to be a fun term people are using nowadays. Just as much they use that just as much as they use low block that they use world class. Everyone's saying it, but they don't know what it means. So it's just a cool term to use now. But the reality is like low block is going to be a thing. Like you're going to have like an Everton. You're going to have a Sean Dyche masterclass of 1-0 victories, and do nothing for 88 minutes or something like that. So we're going to have to figure out ways to just absolutely break that down. And that's something we've struggled with. Like that's when teams do that for us, that's when we start to just get complacent, and then we're just dancing around the box. Like we have all the possession in the world, but we're trying to walk it in. Like we need to figure out, do you then invite more pressure? Let that team that's playing low, like bait them into a counter, so you can stretch them out, open them up, and then beat them and then keep them open and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see what Pochettino does, but there's points to be had. We just need to go get them. So
exactly. No, 100% agreed.
Sure.
Looking forward to it.
All right, Greg, let's have you sum up. Well, there's 2 questions I have from you, and they kind of roll into each other. I want you to sum up how you think Brighton's season has gone so far, and what your experience, how's it been your first kind of half season watching Premier League football and getting into it, doing the podcast, kind of jumping into this new thing head first?
Well, to answer the first question, sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit. It's what it's been. It's been a lot better than I thought it was going to be. They are really, coming into it, and then all these damn injuries. They're just got they lost some serious players, and it's we don't know when they're coming back. We have no idea. So scientists may know, but it's not to be understood by the common man. So I don't really know what injury. It's probably magic that's going to fix them, frankly. But they have been so incredible to watch. Oh my God. It's been so much fun to watch them do well and also not really do all that well, because they have, had some rough times. They've had some good times and they've had some bad times. And the times that they've had, wouldn't trade them for the world. My first footballing excursion has been a lot more interesting, and it's kind of spoiling me for the NFL. It also probably has to do with the fact that the Arizona Cardinals are so very trash. If they were winning, maybe I'd be enjoying watching them, but they are not, and so I do not. It was a good time to be an Arizona baseball fan recently.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. So it's been a wild ride, but I've been thoroughly enjoying my first go around with the Premier League. It's very interesting. So.
So you think you're gonna stick around with them?
I think so.
I like that.
We've created a new football fan. The football gods are smiling on all of us. This is our gift to the world. No, we really appreciate you being here. I know when we first kind of started talking about this, and even throughout this, you've been a little self-conscious about maybe not always having the football knowledge, but I appreciate you diving in head first and being a part of this. And the profound thing, the way you approach things and say things on this podcast that are kind of very out in left field and perspectives that George and Matt and myself would never even consider, just because you are such a new fan. So I appreciate that you're doing this with us, and glad that you are enjoying it and continue watching and growing your knowledge. For me, obviously City are going into this international break top of the league. I think we're in a much better position than we were last season. Actually, factually, that is true. And I think despite this performance and despite the John Stones injury, we've got a lot going for us coming ahead. KDB is going to be coming back, and that'll cause its own challenges, and probably we'll have to readjust how we play a little bit. But we're just getting up to that time where we start ticking over results. I am concerned about the upcoming results that we have, upcoming matches that we have with Liverpool and Tottenham. We got some things that some challenges we need to sort out there, but you figure we win, I don't know, 2 out of the 3 fixtures we have coming up, and maybe only pick up a draw against either Liverpool or Tottenham. I think we're going to be fine, especially as things get busy. We kind of have the opposite as Chelsea. When things get busy, we start performing even better. So I think going forward, I still think we're going to win the league, and I still think we got at least a decent chance in the Champions League. We'll see how we perform in the FA Cup once that starts up. But with that, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have Greg dive us into the banter segment of the podcast. So we'll be right back.
All right, guys. Well, welcome back to Just a Bit of Banter. Once again, my name is Greg. We're joined with Matt Ammerman, George, and Patrick. Matt is a friend from Beltway Blues, and they're at Beltway Blues CIA on Instagram and Twitter, also known as X. And get at Matt. Matt likes Sips, SSIPS, on IG and Twitter. Get at him. We are going to end the show tonight with our favorite thing in the whole world, which is the banter segment. This is where I make up some random ass topic while the ghost in my house is going to get me. And tonight I have decided that I've had enough. there's actually something really important that's going on in the world, and not enough people are talking about it. These damn subscription services got us hooked, and now they're using our geographical locations to determine that we are sharing our passwords, as if this wasn't something that everybody fucking knew about for years.
I know.
Everybody does it the same. You have your core group of friends, like your close friends and family. Everybody pays for like one or two. You got all of the services that way. You got your Hulu, your Amazon, your Netflix. Netflix is the worst. Netflix is the one that
Netflix really, they're the
worst.
They're the ones that started this, and they're the ones that started the geotagging.
Yeah,
and they
it's
can fuck
bullshit.
off for it. It's some corporate
bullshit.
greed at its finest. Everybody knows that was going on for years and years and years, and you were making a killing. They were still making boatload of money.
You put out quality programming.
Yes,
like
they were
King.
making boatload of money. Tiger King,
dude.
All jokes aside, that was an awesome one.
That week that COVID happened and Tiger King came out.
Oh, it was like the perfect.
It was like everybody had something to watch while they were stuck in the house, and we all watched fucking Tiger King. And guess what? You know what? There were probably like 6 or 7 active Netflix subscriptions at that time. That's a fair point, okay? But they were making money still. Come on, bro. Get it together. Like, okay, you've already raised your price. What is it now? Like 17, 18 bucks?
Yeah, it used to be
Netflix. 10. Yeah, it used to be 10.
Yeah, it's like 8, I mean, less than 10.
They used to send you something in the mail, then you'd mail it back to them. Gone are those days. Gone are the days where you go down to Blockbuster and you get a movie and you pick it out.
Back.
And you know what? Here's the thing. I don't know if this was you guys, but I could spend hours at Blockbuster. It would take.
You always want to make the right choice.
Yeah.
Because you only had one it was every Friday growing up, and you only got one choice. So you had to make sure it was a good one, because that was going to carry you.
Because you had to watch it no matter what.
You went. Oh yeah.
Exactly right.
And then they break your heart if they don't have it, and they hey man, we don't have it anymore.
This whole thing started. It was like one summer, Blockbuster came out with unlimited movie rentals. And it was like $20 a month. But you could
I remember that.
You could go and you get 2, and then you watch them and you take them back. And in the summertime, bro, there was a Blockbuster, probably about a mile and a half ride on my bike from my house, one way. So I'd ride up to the Blockbuster in the morning. I'd get 2 movies. I'd ride back. I'd watch those 2 movies on a screen probably about like this big. And then I would ride my fucking bike back to the Blockbuster, pick out 2 more movies. I could, if I was hustling, bro, I could do 3 full trips in one day. It was close.
You fit, dude.
Oh my God, dude. I was so skinny.
He was sexy Greg.
Sexy Greg?
Oh
That's that OnlyFans, dude. That subscription, dude. Add it to
we got to get that. Speaking of subscriptions, if you would like Greg to start an OnlyFans to start doing feet pictures, please comment below. Like and subscribe to the video. We will 100% make an OnlyFans for Greg and make this happen. We have an episode called Greg's OnlyFans, and we really do want to make this happen. So please, Matt, you can be the first to subscribe, man.
Feet finder.
I mean, I feel like his his demographic may be more Brighton supporters. Maybe it's a good starting point, and I'm also not in the market for feet photos, so it might be a tough sell there.
Hard pass. All right, well that's fair. You can't win them all. That's fine. We
but since we're on the net, if we're on the Netflix slander, hopefully they're listening. Give us Sunderland Till I Die season 3, you cowards.
Yeah, straight
that
up.
was like the best documentary.
I'm just saying, like they had that. They had Take the Ball, Pass the Ball. They had Juventus First Team. Like these were all solid documentaries, and they made a killing. You don't need to open it up to now make sure every single person is paying. I understand your business. I understand it's probably a whole thing and huge thing to maintain this streaming service that I am not aware of, and I have no idea what it costs to run that. But I do know you're putting out quality products. You've got to be doing. You were doing fine in putting out those quality products prior to deciding to make sure everybody has a subscription. So some fucking fat cat who's already got a yacht already making a killing, said,
He
let's
needs
make
2
even
yachts.
more money. Yes. He needs 2 yachts. And it's just, I hate that. I hate that stuff so much because streaming services were our way out of cable and our way out of
And now it's just
doing
as
things the old
fucking
way.
expensive.
Yes, it was cheaper. It was a
Mm.
better quality product. It was everything that's good about the internet. Like it provided opportunity to new ways of putting out media, and now you're being the same thing because you got too big for your britches.
Too big for your britches. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Not in my town. That's the first platform that I'm going to run under. When I announce my candidacy, that's issue number 1. And issue number 2 is the fact that Sriracha is no more. We need to bring back.
Yeah, what's going on?
Sriracha.
What is going on with Matt? Do you have a sriracha shortage in your area?
Yeah, from what I understand, it's a shortage of the peppers. But I remember
Yeah,
reading
it's the
some like
peppers.
elaborate article about like whichever farm that they utilize, or like the brand and the farm they utilize to grow and stuff like that, like one essentially like sold out the other. Like they pulled out of some like land purchase deal.
Yeah.
Got it.
So like what the farm was like left with like however many thousands of acres essentially, and we're like, but nobody to sell the peppers to or something. So I can't remember. Don't quote me on that, but it was something elaborate like that where it made me realize that you don't need to go to the sriracha like that you come and know as of today, because there's other alternatives out there. Like that's a nice little shameless plug for Yellowbird because their sauces are incredible. So go that route instead.
I have a big ass bottle of Sriracha that I use only for very special occasions.
It's got
like
a
a
little
bottle of
cabinet for it. Yeah.
It's you never know how valuable it is until it's gone.
Until it's gone.
Such bullshit.
Don't know
It's
what
like-
you
it's
got
like when
till it's gone.
It's like when there was a national chicken wing shortage. Do you remember this when it was COVID?
No, but that sounds like
That's
a
what
crisis.
that's true. That's
That is
true.
a crisis.
Chicken wing shortage. Let that sink in for a second. Chicken wing.
But there's no chicken shortage, just chicken wings.
How can
You're
there
tracking.
be a chicken
Chicken
wing
wing
shortage?
shortage, but no chickens. Or not a chicken shortage.
That doesn't make no damn sense. Doesn't make no damn sense.
Each chicken has 2 wings. That
George?
solves your problem.
What do you think about Netflix?
For Netflix,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's I love their shows, but with them the password sharing stuff, they've been talking for that for years, and then now they finally pulled the trigger on doing that. But then they also increased the price. So what are you trying to do, man? Are you trying to
Squeeze us dry?
Mhm.
And then they have these different categories of you can only have 2 services per household, and then you have to pay an extra $2 for 4 services, and then you gotta pay like, I don't know, the 1080p version and then pay that HD.
Did they really
versions.
come out with that? You got to pay for the 1080p version now?
There's something
Fuck that,
like
bro.
and it's
Some
you already
horse
suck up
cockery.
enough, and I get it. They're trying to be competitive with Amazon and ESPN, which is with Disney, and God, man, freaking Disney too. Like, you selfish people just taking our money. Yes, I'm not talking to you, Disney. And man,
it got its own problems though. They got their own fucking problems at Disney.
Yeah, these people who are just and again, we talk about this as ownerships, right? As American ownerships, is that we're just greedy and they just want to suck up everything, and how they just that's why people don't like us. And it's very frustrating on that. And I know I probably didn't answer about the Netflix thing, but kind of got sidetracked on that. And but yeah, that's just my opinion.
That's perfect.
So
perfect answer. Well, I mean, I feel like that's kind of I feel like this has brought to light what we're all thinking.
A real issue in America right now.
Real
And across the world.
Issue. And across the world. Netflix is getting too big for their britches. We're going to need to shut them down. Shut them down.
Back it up, Terry.
Shut it down. I just wanted to once again thank Mr. Matt Ammerman for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks,
It's
Greg.
a little late out there in on the East Coast, but we definitely want to say thank you. Please plug your social medias here.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me. Appreciate it. Help run Beltway Blues. It's a local supporter club, Chelsea supporter club in the DC area too. So whether you live in DC, Maryland, Virginia, come find us at Ireland's Four Courts in Arlington. We meet up for every match too. So you always find some Chelsea supporters there too. Or if you're just visiting out of town, you can find us at Beltway Blues CIA, Instagram, Twitter, or whatever the hell Elon Musk is calling it these days. But yeah, if you find us on social media, and if you're interested in, depending where you live or where you're traveling, trying to find some other local supporter clubs, check out Chelsea in America as well. We're a national coalition of about 50 supporter clubs in the U.S. A lot of information is posted on there, everything from where you can find other supporter clubs, where they meet. If you're interested in membership, all the perks that come with that as well too. So we've been well established and been going on for a long time too. And so that's one of the perks is getting potential opportunities to travel for matches too as well. So if you're interested in going and want to just get more involved in the broader Chelsea community, definitely check out Chelsea in America. But thanks guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Do they have a website, or
ChelseaInAmerica.com.
is it?
Yep.
Okay.
ChelseaInAmerica.com. That sounds like a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie.
Chelsea in America.
Thanks so
Maybe,
much
Awesome.
for coming on tonight, Matt.
I mean, if Chelsea in America is some content, you can always maybe write to Netflix.
There we go.
There we
Take
go.
away the geo-tracking and we'll give you this
That could be a new
idea.
series. Look at that. Bang.
Boom, we're helping them out. Now take away that geo-tracking.
Take it away. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Thanks,
everybody
guys.
for listening. Thanks for Matt again for being on and being an awesome guest and dealing with my shit talking. But this has been just a bit of banter. As always, please follow us on Instagram and Twitter and the Tick and Talk. It's just under the show name. Actually, it's just under the handle at BitOBanterPod. You can always reach us there. Like, comment, subscribe. Just helps us get out to the community. And always, we will see you in the next episode. Oh, look forward to some bonus episodes this week. We've got Kronk from Shades of Blue coming on. Probably will be out Thursday this week, if I had to guess. But he's going to be coming on doing a special episode with us. And we've got some fun guests coming up. So look for those announcements soon as well. But as always, enjoy your weeks, everybody. Stay safe, and we will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Cheers.
See you guys.